Hello and welcome to today's Hangout on the topic of year-round school or traditional school schedules. I am Jimmie Lanley. I'm the social media manager for Bright Ideas Press, and we're so glad to have you with us today, whether you're watching live on the Google Plus event page or whether you're watching afterwards via YouTube. It's great to have you here, and we love your comments and your questions left inside Google Plus or in YouTube. If you're here live, we'll try to bring some of those in during the event. So leave us any comments or questions that you have. I'm going to let my panel, my very large panel of 6 homeschool moms, introduce themselves. They're going to tell you their names, maybe how many kids they have. I'd really appreciate if each blogger would share what kind of schedule do you use currently, year-round, traditional, or something in between, and then tell us where we can find you online, because I know our viewers will want to look you up. So we're going to start with Eva. Will you please introduce yourself?
Hello. Can you hear me? Because this is my first time doing. Okay, great. So my name is Eva Varga, and I am the homeschool mom to 2 children in middle school. My oldest is in 7th grade, and my youngest is in 5th grade. We have been homeschooling from the beginning, utilizing a year-round schedule, and you can find me at evavarga.net.
Thank you, Eva. Heather.
I'm Heather Woodie. I blog at blogshewrote.org. I have 4 children ranging in ages from 16 to 9. They are in 11th, 9th, 7th, and 4th. I lost it for a second there. And we use traditional school schedule.
All right, Heather, we're so glad you're with us. Next is LaToya.
All right, hey everyone, I'm LaToya, and I am homeschooling 2 elementary-aged boys. We are year-long homeschool. Our summers are not full schedule, but we'll get to that later. And I blog at latoyaedwards.net.
It's great to have you here, LaToya. Leah, introduce yourself to our audience, please.
Hi, I'm Leah Courtney. I homeschool 4 children. I have one in 10th grade, one in 9th grade, one in 5th grade, and one in 4th grade. And we have usually used a year-round schedule. We modify that a little bit now because my older children work in the summer sometimes. So I'll share later about how we have kind of morphed into a different type of year-round traditional mix. But I blog at aswewalkalongtheroad.com.
I look forward to hearing about that, Leah. That's a really important point, I think, in our discussion is how kids age and how our schedules have to change to accommodate that. Misty, introduce yourself, please.
Hi, I'm Misty Leask, and I homeschool my son and daughter. They're in 6th and 4th grade, and we utilize a year-round homeschooling schedule.
And where can we find you, Misty?
Oh, at yearroundhomeschooling.com.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Tisha, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Tisha, and I blog at adventuresinmommydom.org, and I have 3 kiddos. I have 10-year-old boys and an 8-year-old girl, and they're all more or less in 4th grade. My daughter promoted herself to 4th grade a month or so ago. And we utilize the mommy is tired of doing school, we're going to take a break, and mommy is tired of you making messes, we are starting schooling method. That's probably the closest to truth because I don't do schedules well.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to unmute myself because I was laughing hysterically. That is beautiful. And if y'all want to talk about being real, right there, Tisha, she is as real as it gets. And I love your schedule. That is a blog post, and I'm expecting that to be written soon. Mommy needs a break, and mommy's tired of the break. That is exactly why we homeschool, right? So we can be flexible like that. So let's talk about, first of all, year-round homeschooling. Why would you want to school year-round? And, of course, we'll be talking about some of the pros for year-round homeschooling while we do that. So what are the reasons you would want to do that and the benefits? Who would like to leap into that? Come on, somebody.
Well, I'll jump in.
Go ahead.
We decided to homeschool year-round in the beginning because we wanted to take advantage of being able to go on family vacations during the traditional school year. And so we could travel to, within the United States or even out of the United States when the cost of a tour group would be less expensive and so forth. And so we chose to year-round school for that reason, so that we could be more flexible in our schedule. So that was basically the reason we decided to do so, and what I think is one of the biggest pros.
Okay, great. Great reason. Leah, what other benefits would you say to year-round schooling?
Well, I was going to say one of ours is exactly what Tisha said about mommy needs a schedule, because I work much better in a routine. And I found that especially when my children were little, that summer would roll around and we would stop regular school, and then everybody was at loose ends. They wanted to sit and watch TV all day, or they argued with each other because they didn't have something to do. And I worked better if I could keep them in a routine.
So you found that the shorter breaks works better?
Yes, definitely, because then we had a much shorter time to get off of our regular schedule. Mm-hmm. And for the majority of the summer, we stayed on a regular schedule so that everybody was eating at the same time, getting up about the same time, and that helped me to be more routine.
Okay, great comment. So other ideas about why should you school year-round? Misty, you school year-round. Why do you do that?
When I first started homeschooling, I wasn't a year-round homeschooler. I followed the traditional school schedule. But my husband's self-employed, and it was really hard to homeschool when Daddy was home. He's a commercial fisherman, and when he was home, it was very loud, and getting school done was almost impossible. So that's why I first started. And now we own a family business now. We have rental cabins in Maine, and so now I have commercial fishing husband, family business, and I'm a VA. So I have to have the flexibility of using 365 days for schooling versus 175 days a year. So that's why I jumped on board with year-round homeschooling.
Okay, I didn't realize you did all that, Misty. You were one busy woman. Yes, she is. Okay, Tisha, why would you suggest year-round schooling? What's the pro?
Well, back when I was a public school teacher, one of the things everyone commented on is you spend the first 4 weeks after they get back from summer break reteaching everything that they had forgotten over their 3-month break. I mean, we all called it the summer brain drain. It's like suddenly they got out in the middle to late May, and they went, okay, I don't need to use my brain for 3 months. Check out. And then they come back in August and they're like, what am I doing? I don't know. What's school? Do I know how to add anything? And so suddenly they're like, what do I do? So yeah, that's part of why I try not to have super long breaks, because I swear it's like they forget how to do anything during those breaks.
All right, so the summer slide, the summer brain drain, those are all negatives toward the traditional calendar and reasons why we might want a year-round school. Let's talk about some of the negatives for year-round schooling. So I'm going to go to Heather, who's more of the traditional year. Heather, what would be the negatives for year-round schooling?
Well, mainly I think it has to do with weather. So we're in upstate New York. And I'm from Maryland, so the weather here this time of year especially is always a shock every year. I've been here 15 years, and it's cold a lot here, and so when the weather's good, we want to get out because we'll be in for a long, long time. And I've tried it various ways, and we do a few things to keep from losing a lot during the summer, and my kids make their personal goals with that, but we get out when we can, and that's what we do.
Okay, that's an excellent point. So definitely weather, your climate, where you live is going to really factor into your choice, as well as, say, the ages of your children. I'd like to discuss that. Leah, were you the one who said, yeah, you were the one who said that your schedule's changed over the years. Talk about that, and then other ladies, I want you to jump in with, how do you think scheduling changes as children get older? You know, are younger ages better for certain types of scheduling? So Leah, I'd love to hear your experience.
Okay, we started homeschooling through the year for kind of that weather that Heather was mentioning. We have really hot weather. And so when my children were young, in the summertime, they didn't want to go outside and play because they couldn't in the middle of the day. And so I kept the whole family in, and we would do a regular school schedule, and we would do fun things like unit studies or activities that we could all do together. But in the last 2 years, my older children have started working. My oldest daughter worked first as a counselor in training at a summer camp. So she was gone a lot of that summer because her weeks were tied up at summer camp. And it kind of left this gap because we were used to everybody working together in the summertime. So that summer we kind of branched off, and I still worked with my younger girls, but my son did a little bit of his own thing, kept up with his math, kept up with some reading, but we didn't do the big family together in the summer. Then this past year, he joined her, and he worked as a summer camp counselor. And so he was out of the picture. So mostly this past summer, I worked with my 2 little girls in unit studies, and then my older 2 just kind of caught up with things like math that they just needed to keep going year round. But it's had to change as everybody's done things differently in the summer.
Well, it's great. Homeschooling gives you that opportunity to do that. So other thoughts, ladies, on children's grade levels and ages and how that affects our schedule?
Well, I would just say that my teens definitely have their own plans for the summer. My son works at a grocery store, and so he started working there last summer, and that's where he was most of the summer. So he had some things that he had to be careful that he would do just to keep up with his own personal academic plan, but otherwise he was free to do that. And my daughter this summer, she's a 9th grader, and she has a sewing school that she's putting together for the summer, and so she's got classes ready and she's got curriculum she's developing.
You mean she's teaching a summer sewing school?
Yes, she's teaching summer sewing school. And she's already mentoring several friends and developing curriculum for them, and they're like preteens, but she's starting a beginner class this summer, so she's got her thing.
Heather, you have the coolest kids ever.
I agree. Thanks.
That is so cool. Wow. And I would say I have a high schooler, and I would say that over the years we have moved more towards a traditional school schedule because, and I've seen this happen frequently with homeschoolers as their children get older, their children are involved in more set things, for example, co-op classes, perhaps dual enrollment, or other kind of tutoring situations that are going to be on a more strict schedule that's more traditional. And so in order for my daughter to do those activities, we have to stick with their schedule. So that has really forced us to be more of traditional, where in the early years, we were definitely year-round homeschoolers. We took breaks whenever we wanted to. We also lived abroad at the time, and we traveled quite a bit, and so it was great to have that flexibility. But now things are not flexible as they were, and we pretty much follow the regular school schedule, with obviously with some modifications. And we do go to the zoo when it's not a school holiday. But aside from that, we do pretty much follow the regular schedule. So let's talk about what does a year-round schedule actually look like. And I want Misty to address this because I believe she has maybe some helps on her blog that would help moms with this. So Misty, what does an actual year-round schedule look like?
It can look like whatever you want it to. That's, you know, I've changed it up over the last 4 years. We've done it for a while. We did it quarterly. I schooled from September through November, and then we took the entire month of December off. Then January through March, took April off, and then May through July, and took August off. That gave us a month break. It gave them a good chunk of time where they had fun, they were entertained, I didn't hear the word "I'm bored," and it also didn't take so much time away from school that they lost what they had learned. So that was one thing I did. There are some people that do 6 weeks on and 1 week off. For me personally, because we just bought the cottages, we are going to be looking at doing a different schedule next year because what I did before for quarterly isn't going to work for us anymore. So it really can look like what you want it to look like. You can school all year long and just pick days. My kids are wanting me to do a 4-day-a-week schedule next year, so they only do school Monday through Thursday and then take off for the 3-day weekend. So we'll see. So pretty much whatever you want, it can happen. I do have year-round teacher's planner available. There's a download link in the events page for you guys, anybody who's watching, and it has some different schedule ideas inside of it.
I'll hop in since no one's talking, and all the people I know who've homeschooled year-round, it's been a different schedule for everyone. We do a 4-day-a-week school schedule with my family because my kids, they like having games, and so we have all sorts of games that we play on Fridays, and so we homeschool when it's convenient, and oh, that sounds really bad, doesn't it? Not when it's convenient. We homeschool when our schedule is working. We've had a lot of illness this particular school year, and so last year we went until the end of July, and then we had July and August just nothing. And this year I'm hoping to not do quite that crazy, but it's like crazy. My brain stopped working suddenly. So yeah, year-round, everyone does it different. Okay.
I can tag off of you because that's kind of what we do too. We have a year-round schedule, and basically I have the curriculum that I've selected for the kids, and I tell them, okay, I want you to do 4, math lessons this week, and so they kind of pick and choose what day they're going to do that. Typically it's Monday through Thursday, and then we have kind of a more relaxed Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we do that same sort of thing. We just kind of do homeschooling or doing our formal lessons when we're feeling like it, basically, just like you said, Tisha. And then when things are hectic, we pull back and don't do as many formal lessons at that time. So that's part of the reason why we chose to homeschool as well, because I knew there would be a lot of times, things would come up during the week and we'd have less time to get our formal lessons done, but I still had that vision of, okay, I want to, basically get through this math curriculum by the end of a school year, and so we just kind of said, well, we'll give ourselves a year to do that. But when they finish one math curriculum, we just keep moving to the next one. So sometimes we do a year or 1.5 books, and sometimes we just do one. But it's just very flexible and just kind of going with how we're feeling. So
we do the 6-week on, 1 week off. I think the term I learned was Sabbath homeschooling. And the way I kind of break up our year is that we have terms, very Charlotte Mason-esque. So we have 3 main terms and then our summer term. So doing 6 on and 1 off usually leaves me about 10 weeks not unaccounted for, but kind of free. And so I take those 10 weeks that are left over and use those for breaks. So we take kind of a longer break in December. When we focus on Advent and just kind of, relaxing our schedule a bit. We take a break, for spring. In the spring, we take about a 6-week break in the summer. So we just break ours up that way. And for me, doing it that way kind of helps with burnout. I know, like, we're going to go 6 weeks, and then we're going to have a week off to kind of rest and recharge and maybe tweak things if I need to. Also, for us, having this kind of schedule helps because my boys have, they have time, they go see their dad. And so year-round homeschooling for me gives me the flexibility to where if dad suddenly has a day off in the middle of the week, it's not going to completely derail, our schedule or our lesson plans or their learning. We can take that day off. We can make it later, that way. And kind of doing the 6 weeks on, 1 week off helps me with lesson planning as well. I know Misty has, her planning resource, but for me, I don't actually put dates on my lesson plans. I can just plan out 6 weeks, and then on the week off, if I need to tweak the next 6 weeks, that's, that helps too, or it's easy to just erase a 5 and put week 7 on it because, we got behind. But like, everyone has said, it's really, I think it's the flexibility of it I'm in a hot climate too in Florida, so when everybody's inside because it's snowing, we're outside, but then we have hurricane season, and so it makes it that much easier on the one day during that week where we're not under hurricane warning to not do school and get out and do something fun, or take the day where it's 102 degrees outside and do some work and then take some time off later.
We use a quarterly setup too. It's sort of a modified quarter. I divide into 4 quarters, but each quarter is not exactly 3 months. We do our official school year start in August, and we have an August to November quarter, August through October quarter, and the next one starts in November. So we have November through February quarter, which is a little bit longer, because within that we take a long gap for Christmas. We take usually 2 to 4 weeks for Christmas, depending on how much time we have stored up to take. Then we do a shorter quarter that ends in May. My children do a drama camp in May that we've done for quite a few years now, and so we try to wrap up before the drama camp starts. And then we'll finish up our regular curriculum by that point in May. Then in the summer, for June and July, I schedule what we call our summer quarter, and we do a lighter school with things like unit studies or the kids finishing up material that they needed to finish up from the school year before. And that way, I don't have set days that we take off. I don't plan that we're taking this long off for this time, but that way we have those days in there when Daddy's off work and we can take off to be with him when he's home, or the past 2 years we've gotten to go on a vacation with my parents in the fall, so we have that time free to take off. But when we do it in quarters like that, it does help me to focus, and it helps